Hi, welcome back to Mike's Diabetes World. Yeah, it's a slow day. Not doing much. Not feeling sort of well enough to do anything. I'm just tired, so I'm going to sleep. Anyway, I want to talk to you, or it always seems like I'm lecturing, but what are you going to do? So far, you guys haven't answered back. But traveling and diabetes. Now, for years, I was under the mindset, oh, well, I'll just grab something along the way. I used to pack my insulin and all my needles. It was needles back then, in the suitcase. And then, take it on the airplane or whatever. And that's not the greatest. Also, I never took snacks or anything. You used to get, back when I was traveling for business, you used to get small little things of chips or nuts or pretzels, something along those lines. It was never enough, for a snack. So, we've talked a bit about diabetes is always planning. And planning is the same for traveling with diabetes. If you don't plan, one thing could not work right and you could be in terrible trouble. So, first thing I want to talk about, we talked about this recently as well, is supplies. Now, you're going on a trip, let's say for a week. I usually pack 2 weeks of medications, and if 2 weeks for like an insulin bottle would be ample, I would always take a separate one. I'd always take syringes with me, and I would pack one in my carry-on and one in my luggage if it was a long trip. If it was a week or less, pretty well threw them in. I know I just said, but so don't assume that when you get there that everything's going to be all right, especially if you're traveling internationally. And as a kid, my parents took a job in Fiji, and I was able to go visit. So I flew down there, and the running joke in our family was that I walked to Fiji, because we flew to Honolulu. Everything was fine. I was told then to put, when I got on the plane originally, I was told to put the insulin into the airplane's fridge. And okay, so I thought, fine. I asked for it back, and the stewardess said, oh yeah, things, will be fine, don't worry about it. The plane touches down in Honolulu. We take off, and I asked the flight attendant for my insulin. I had the syringes. and she was told, well, we don't have your insulin. And of course, all the old flight attendants, they did a crew change, so they didn't know it. So the message we all kind of hate and worry about happened to be, is there a doctor on the plane? And he had to be walking up and down the aisles to build off some of this excess sugar. And I can remember, it wouldn't happen today, but back then I was pulled. I was told to go up to the captain, and I was in the cockpit for a while, and I can remember crossing the equator while in the cockpit. That was the greatest part of the trip for me. Anyway, I made it to Fiji. My parents met me, and they were told of the problem, and we had to go to a Fijian hospital and get insulin. And the insulin was a bottle. And I thought, oh, okay, fine. But it was U40 instead of U100. So the concentration was totally different. I believe I was getting less insulin. And there was a big thing. They found my insulin, and then they had to wire to Vancouver and get it down on the next flight and get it to the airline's office. But I did end up getting insulin. But towards the end, I had to stay longer because I believe the flight, I couldn't get back in time. And we were running low on needles, so we went to a doctor in Fiji. And he was saying, oh no, we don't use disposable. We use them over and over again. Okay. But we ended up finding some sort of syringe with a bigger needle, and it hurt like the dickens. But I survived. So you don't want anything like that to happen to you. So make sure that you are carrying double the time you're going to be away. Medication, test strips, the whole kit and caboodle. Now, I had to go to Toronto on business, and we were told to keep all our stuff together, and my luggage went in. I thought, okay, fine. But when I tried to do my carry-on bags, there was no way I was going to fit everything into one carry-on. So I contacted the airline and asked if there was anything we could do. It was put through to the medical area, and it was kind of like, oh sure, bring another one on. I'll just note it on your ticket or whatever. Showed up with the 2 carry-ons. The person at the desk knew about it. Wonderful. We got her, and I had everything with me. Just had to grab the luggage, and then I was off. So medication and supplies are your number one priority. Second, but very close, is food. Now, don't sort of say, oh, well, you know what, I'll get something on the way. I'm stopping off in Denver or Regina or whatever. I could grab something there. But what happens if your plane's late and you have to run to get? So you want to make sure you have backup cheese, crackers, something starchy to carry you through to your next. Now, what's good about the pump is the pump will allow you to have enough insulin just to cover your bodily needs until you eat. If you're not on the pump, a shot will be there and you have to cover your insulin. So don't be afraid if you speak to the airport, let's say your bag is lost, or don't be afraid to mention you are a diabetic. Because I've heard people who've lost hand or overhead or hand luggage. So stress that should be the number one thing on your list of what to do. Now, you could plan cookies, you can make a sandwich before you take off. You can get a McDonald's hamburger. I know it'll probably be cold later, but if you feel you're going to be late coming in, have it then. And just keep yourself so you're not going to have a low. Nothing is worse trying to run and you're getting disorientated because you're having a low. 10 to 1, you're going to miss the flight. 3, besides food and covering your food, is health insurance. Now, when I was working for a convenience store chain, our head office was in Dallas. So that, if I ever had to travel to the States, you wanted to make sure that you had health insurance, because if something happened to you, then health insurance would be a problem. And if you are traveling, make sure all your documentation is in line. You don't want to be held up in customs because you didn't get some form. And what will that do, especially if you've injected insulin in the morning, it could be causing you to go low while you're sitting there waiting. So, you want to be careful about that as well. Now, when I did travel, I always thought, well, wouldn't it be smart, I'm flying out, maybe set my watch to the time that my artificial watch, set your watch to the time of where you're going, and then just start doing that day so you have a whole day of traveling on that time zone. Well, didn't always work, because especially those who are on the pump, Your pump is set up for a certain amount of times a day, and you could end up causing an unexpected rise in your blood sugar or an unexpected drop. So change it when you're actually there, because chances are you may be covering different time zones and it can be a real mess. Trust me on that. So you're there, you go to a restaurant, and that restaurant, you ask, can I have the breakdown of the food, please? They may not even know what you're talking about. So what a good idea is to get a small counter of carbs. You can put that on your phone now even, but make sure you have a battery charger if you're going to do that. It's just something. Make sure you have comfortable shoes. Make sure you carry stuff like Band-Aids. Sorry, I dropped you for there a moment. But you be prepared. Remember to plan your plan. Anyway, I hope that gives you some little tips on traveling. And I'll talk to you later. Have a good day. Bye now.